Okay, so in last lecture we have discussed about the what are the different factors that you should consider while selecting the proper optical source, proper optical cable and the proper optical detector for your system. Then we have talked about the link budget also, power link design. Then in that power link design you should consider the two important factors, that is the power link budget and the rise time budget, right? Now, what is this actually power link budget? So, this power link budget is nothing but the total power, right? Total power and different losses that will reduce the power, right? So, all these factors that you need to consider while considering or while what we can say uh, developing your optical link or establishing the optical link, right? So you can have the clear picture. At the transmitter side, you have optical source, then you have a connector. So again, what are the components that you are using? So depending upon components, your power link budget will change. For example, all of you know there are attenuation loss associated with the fiber optic cable. Okay, so you have to consider that attenuation loss, that is alpha f into length. Then you are using different splices, connectors. So each connector, each splice, again it will contribute to the loss. So you have to consider the loss offered or loss happen because of these connectors and splices, right? So the total power, that is PT, it is equal to the power of the optical source, that means source power, minus PR, right? Minus PR, that is nothing but the receiver sensitivity or the power received at the receiver side. So total power will be the power transmitted minus power received. And again, this power transmitted and power received is depend upon again how many splices you have used. So you have to consider the losses associated with that splices, how many connectors you have used. So you have to consider the losses uh, associated with the connectors. So MLC, this is what the loss associated with the connectors. NLSP, that is the this is the loss associated with the splices. Then alpha F into L, this is the attenuation loss plus system margin. So total power you have to estimate by considering each of these factor. That means how many connectors you have used, what is the attenuation loss of that fiber. So that depends upon the length, right, and wavelength that you have used. So you have to calculate for attenuation loss of the fiber. Then you have to calculate the splices. If you have used or if you have used different splices, then you have to consider the loss with respect to that splice multiplied by the how many splices or the number of splices that you have used. Same is the case with the connector also, right? You have to use or you have to calculate the connector loss, then you have to multiply it with the number of connectors that you have used, and finally you have to consider the system margin. So in this way you can design or you can establish a optical power loss model, and you can design or you can what we can say perform the power link budget for that optical communication link, that is point to point communication, right? So this is about the optical power loss model and power link budget. Next budget that you should consider is a rise time budget. Okay, that you should consider is a rise time budget. Now this rise time budget determines the dispersion limitations of an optical fiber. Why we should go for this rise time budget? Because this rise time budget determines the dispersion limitations of an optical fiber. So this total rise time budget is a root sum square of a rise time from each contributor to the pulse rise time degradation, right? So what are the factors that we should consider in this rise time budget? You have to consider the transmitter rise time, that is Tx. Then you have to consider the group velocity, group velocity rise time because of the dispersion. Then you have to consider the modal dispersion rise time of the fiber, and finally you have to consider the receiver rise time. So basically there are four major rise times that you should consider. First, you have to consider the rise time of the transmitter. You have to consider the group velocity dispersion rise time, then modal dispersion rise time, and receiver rise time, that is TRX. And if when you have to take a square of this, you have to add it and you have to take the square root of this, then you can calculate the total rise time of the particular system, right? You have to square all this factor and you have to take the under root of that, then you have to add all this factor, and then finally you have to take the under root or the root of that addition, then you will get the total rise time of that particular system, right? So formula is given: T system is equal to Tx square, that is the transmitter rise time, T square mode, that is the modal dispersion rise time, plus group velocity dispersion rise time plus receiver rise time, right? You have to square it, you have to add all these rise times together, and then finally you have to take the square root of that answer, then you will get the total rise time of that system, that is the T sys. Okay, so this is about the rise time budget. Next part of our discussion is wavelength division multiplexing and dense wavelength division multiplexing, right? So as you know, in digital systems you have a time division multiplexing and frequency division multiplexing, right? Multiplexing is very essential because in what we can say, heavy traffic region, or where the data demand and the capacity, data demand is more and if the capacity is less, then you have to go for this multiplexing technique, so that you can increase the channel capacity as well as you can increase the data rate also, right? So this is the basic purpose of having the multiplexing, right? You have a many signals at the input, and finally you can or you can transmit that many signals onto a single channel. That is the role of multiplexer, and exactly opposite is the role of demultiplexer, right? Then this particular multiplexing is a process where multiple analog messages signals or digital data streams can be combined into a one signal over a shared medium. That means many to one conversion. For your simple understanding, many to one conversion, it is a multiplexer, and one to many conversion, it is a job of demultiplexer. And to increase the channel capacity and to what we can say, increase the data rate, multiplexing techniques are very essential. So in your analog and digital systems, you have major two types of multiplexing systems that you are used: time division multiplexing and frequency division. Similarly, in case of optical communication, there are two types of multiplexing that are mainly used. First one is a time division, and second one is a WDM, that is wavelength division multiplexing, right? Wavelength division multiplexing. Now, why we should go for this multiplexing technique? So it is discussed here. Demand for massive increase in capacity, right? Why we should go for this wavelength division multiplexing? So demand is more and channel is what we can say, the channel is less, so you have to use that, what we can say, as much as space within that channel, and you have to increase the channel capacity. So it is the one of the factor that you should go for multiplexing. Then what is the immediate solution to this? Dense wavelength division multiplexing, that is the subtype of wavelength division multiplexing. And what is the long-term solution for this? So it is basically useful in case of optical communication. म्हणजे जसं analog division मध्ये तुम्ही TDM आणि FDM वापरता, time division multiplexing आणि frequency division multiplexing, तसं optical communication मध्ये कुठल्या multiplexing technique आहे? WDM आणि DWDM. That means wavelength division multiplexing आणि dense wavelength division multiplexing. Okay, these are the two multiplexing techniques that are especially used in optical communication. Now, what is this WDM? So you have a different wavelength optical signals at the input. Then multiplexer's job is to combine that signal and transmit over a single channel. At the receiver side, you have a demultiplexer. What is job of this demultiplexer? This demultiplexer with separate that signal and send it to a respective output. That means whatever the input that you have transmitted, at the output you will get that same information separately, right? So demultiplexer job is to separate that combined information and send to its respective channel. Now this multiple channel of information carried over the same fiber, each using an individual wavelength. So in analog or digital, which factor we are using for the multiplexing? Time, or in some cases frequency. In the same context, in the optical communication, we are using the wavelength as a deciding factor. So based on that wavelength, we are separating the channel, right? So if you have a communication with X and B with Y, right? So with sort of some dedicated fiber. So you have to communication with X and B with Y. So you have to communicate X and B and A with Y, right? That means A to Y and B to X. So in that case, you have to go for multiplexing technique. And if suppose the A and B, that means at the output side, this A has a wavelength of 1320 nanometer and B channel has a wavelength of, or the B input has a wavelength of 1550 nanometer, then this both the different wavelength you can combine onto a same channel and you can transmit over a optical fiber, and this technique is known as wavelength division multiplexing, right? So broad channel pacing and several hundred nanometer, up to several hundred nanometer wavelength you can transmit. So and basically this recently wavelength division multiplexing can be known as coarse wavelength division multiplexing or CWDM, right? To distinguish it from a DWDM. So basically this simple wavelength division multiplexing is also known as coarse wavelength division multiplexing, that is CWDM, and DWDM stands for dense wavelength division multiplexing. So basically there are two types, CWDM and DWDM. Okay, CWDM is similar, or it is a what we can say another name of that WDM. So you have to remember this. Now what are the advantages of this DW wavelength division multiplexing techniques? So multiple channel of information carried over the same fiber, right, using individual wavelength. That means you can increase the channel capacity. Then why it is attractive multiplexing technique? So high aggregate bitrate without high speed electronic or modulation technique, because you are using the same channel with increased capacity. That means you need not to change the optical or you need not to increase the bandwidth, right? You have within that same bandwidth, now you are transmitting the more data by multiplexing technique. So low dispersion penalties for aggregate bitrate, very useful for upgrade to installed fibers, and reliable using commercial components. These are the major advantages of this wavelength division multiplexing. Along with this, it is a loss is less, crosstalk and non-linear effects are potential problems. These are the disadvantages. What are the advantages? Increased bitrate, low dispersion, easy to install, reliable using commercial components, right? What are the disadvantages? Loss, crosstalk and non-linear effects are potential problems, right? Loss will be the major problem or disadvantages. In many cases, where if that guard band or the space between two different wavelength pulses is very less, then it will get overlap with each other and crosstalk can happen. So crosstalk is also major problem, and non-linear effects are the potential problems. There are again very non-linear effects associated with this wavelength division multiplexing. These are the disadvantages of the wavelength division multiplexing. Now these are the types of WDM. So first you have a coarse WDM, that can be known as CWDM. Then you have a wavelength division multiplexing, and third one you have a DWDM, dense wavelength division multiplexing. The specification of the for each type of WDM, there are some particular figures related to the each factor. So what will be the channel spacing? So for coarse DWDM, there is a especially 1.6 nanometer, right, to 25 nanometer. That means the distance between two different channels, it is the 1.6 nanometer or 25 nanometer. For WDM, if you used 1310 nanometer laser in conjunction with 1500 nanometer laser, so the channel or the channel spacing is same as like CWDM. And for DWDM, it is very less. That means it is less than 1.6 nanometer, and it is up to just few what we can say, up to 10 nanometer only. Number of bands you can use, it is the O, E, S, C and L band you can use with CWDM. O and C band, it is associated with DWDM, and C and L band, it is associated with DWDM. Cost per channel is very low for WDM, but it is very high for DWDM. But if you consider the advantages of DWDM, then you can neglect the cost issue, right? Number of channels delivered. So for CWDM, it is simply 17 to 80 at most. With the help of WDM, only 2 channels, and with help of DWDM, hundreds of channels is possible, right? So see, CWDM, it is for short or metro application. WDM, it is for passive optical networks, that means within the institute, within the LAN, right? And if you are using the long haul application, then DWDM is the only option, right? So this is the comparative between the different types of DWM. Now, what are the multiplexers and demultiplexers for the WDM that been used, or what are the different types of multiplexers includes with the wavelength division multiplexing? So as a multiplexers, you can use fiber coupler or some grating multiplexers. You can see in the figure. So there are some, what we can say, different, as you know, light, or we can say light got separated with the prism, that different wavelengths got separated. So grating is a kind of filter that it will separate out each wavelength separately, right? That grating is a what we can say, specially designed glass object or glass article that separates that each what we can say light of that combined light into a different wavelength separately. So it's a role of that grating. So in case of WDM, you can use fiber couplers or grating as a multiplexers. Now what about demultiplexers, right? What about wavelength demultiplexers? So similarly, you can go for some taper coupler, or you can use some grating demultiplexers also, or you can use tunable filters. That is, tunable optical filters can be used as a demultiplexer in case of WDM. So this is about the components that you can use in with the for the DWM multiplexers as on demultiplexers, right? You can use fiber couplers or grating as a multiplexers, and you can use taper coupler, grating and tunable filters as a demultiplexers for the WDM. Now next point that we will discuss is a dense wavelength division multiplexing, right? DWDM, that is the second type of multiplexing techniques used in optical fiber communication. Now what are the difference between basically WDM, CWN? The major difference between the distance of that, or you can say the length or the distance between two channel, that is channel spacing, is very less in case of dense wavelength division multiplexing. This is the only major difference, right? So as compared to the WDM, DWDM is closely spaced channels, right? So basically it is less than 1.6 nanometer or even less, right? For DWDM, it is around 1.6 to 25 नॅनोमीटर, म्हणजे दोन चॅनल मधलं अंतर हे DWDM मध्ये खूप कमी असतं, बरोबर आहे. 1.6 नॅनोमीटर पेक्षा सुद्धा कमी असतं ते. नाउ कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव्ह वे ऑफ इन्क्रीजिंग कॅपॅसिटी विदाउट रिप्लेसिंग फायबर. फायबर म्हणजे तुमचं चॅनल कॅपॅसिटी तर तुम्हाला रिप्लेस करता येत नाही, मग तुम्ही लाईन स्पेसिंग ऑर द चॅनल स्पेसिंग कमी करून त्याचं युटिलायझेशन करू शकता. अँड द कमर्शियल सिस्टम्स अवेलेबल विथ द कॅपॅसिटी ऑफ 32 चॅनल्स अँड अपवर्ड्स, right, and with the speed of 80 gigabits per second per fiber. Now you can see how the DWDM is very efficient and useful. Technique is same, you have to combine the channel and you have to transmit, but what is major difference between WDM and DWDM? The channel spaced or the channel spacing or the distance of channel spacing is reduced in DWDM, and it is reduced up to, or it is reduced less than 1.6 nanometer, right? For DWDM it is at least 1.6 nanometer or and within the 25 nanometer, but for DWDM it is less than 1.6 nanometer, and this is the major difference between the WDM and DWDM, right? And that's why the name dense wavelength division multiplexing. Now the advantages of DWDM. What are the advantages of DWDM? Greater fiber capacity, easier network expansion, right? You can expand network very easily. That means you need not to replace a fiber, just add a new wavelength, and with the same by using the same fiber you can transmit the that new signal or new channel, right? So easier network expansion. DWDM system capable of longer span length, right? As we have discussed, it is capable, or it is mostly used for the long haul application. Jitha distance like in 1000 kilometers आहे तिथं DWDM is very useful, and it can prove economically good. Okay, the installation or the what we can say costing of this DWDM is high, but once you have installed, then you can transmit 32 channels. Each channel is of speed 80 gigabit per second, and this is for the one fiber. Then you can again use mini fibers, then you can use such a many fibers. Now you can imagine the speed. So these are the certain advantages of DWDM. Now, what are the disadvantages of DWDM? Right, cost effectives, right? For low channels, its installation cost is more. It introduces another element, that is the frequency domain to network design and management. SONET, for the SONET or SDH network management, this system, it is not well equipped to handle DWDM topologies. That means for the SONET and SDH networks, there are what we can say, there are not upgraded equipment that can handle this DWDM topologies. And the last disadvantage is DWDM performance monitoring and protection methodologies developing. That means it is very what we can say hard to develop this DWM system, or it is very hard to develop this DWM system so that it can cope up with the existing different protocols. For example, SONET, SDH, FDDI, right? म्हणजे DWDM हे खूप युजफुल आहे, पण ते एक्झिस्टिंग प्रोटोकॉलशी ते कॉम्पिटेबल करणं हे खूप टफ जातं. बट स्टील for long haul application we are using DWDM in nowadays also, right? So this is about the unit number 6, and probably we have finished with this unit and finished with your syllabus in your curriculum. So if you have any doubt or query related to the any unit, you can free to ask me. Okay, so with your permission, I will declare your total course curriculum is finished today.